true that swamps don't freeze. The Great Vasugan Swamp, located on the territory of the Tomsk, Omsk, Novosibirsk and Tyumen regions, is considered one of the largest swamp systems in the world. In its central part, which is on the border of the Tomsk and Novosibirsk regions, there is now a state nature reserve, Vasugansky. And therefore, to visit the swamp you need a special permit. If you manage to get it in winter, you will see that the bogs are actually freezing. It's just that the process is slower, and the freezing depth is significantly less than that of mineral soils. For example, the depth of soil freezing in the Tomsk region is on average 0.8 to 1.2 m. And Bolshoy Vasuganskoy bog freezes to a depth of about 0.23 to 0.4 m. The maximum is 0.7 m, and that only in areas where the thickness of the peat deposit is not more than 1 meter. The fact is that the peat has a high moisture content, 80 to 98%. And as the main property of water is high heat capacity and low thermal conductivity, the peat retains heat longer, and it takes more time for the swamp to freeze. The dynamics of freezing depends on a number of factors. The first is temperature. Bogs begin to freeze when the average daily temperature regularly falls below 0 C. Peat deposits freeze slowly throughout the winter, and the maximum depths are reached before the beginning of snowmelt. The second factor is the snow cover. The thicker it is, the less the bog will freeze over, and some areas where moisture is particularly high may not freeze at all. This is because snow is a good natural insulator, which protects the peat deposit from deep freezing. The third factor is vegetation. It contributes to keeping the snow cover loose, and therefore, preservation of heat and less freezing of the peat. Finally, the fourth factor is microrelief. Surface irregularities affect the unevenness of bog freezing. Thus, the uplands freeze more, because the upper layer of peat in these areas contains less moisture. So, the process of bog freezing is not as simple as it may seem.